I'm Deborah Uroda, news producer for Durango TV News. Pat Barrett, co-owner of the accounting firm Tafoya, Barrett & Associates, joins us today for this segment of It's Your Money. I was recently looking into business growth and development and found that data indicates that Colorado is ranked 4th in the nation for business startups by entrepreneurs. La Plata County has several programs we know that help entrepreneurs to get started in business. So how do people get started in business? What are some of the things that they need to worry about when they're getting organized?
Well, Deb, I think one of the most important things is how the business entity is going to be structured from a legal standpoint as well as a tax standpoint. I think that's one of the most important things to give consideration to when starting a business.
And what are some of the things that they need to think about?
Well, they need to give some consideration to the number of owners that will be involved in the business activity, and also their operational efficiencies, as well as how the income will be reported, how the income will be taxed, and the transferability of their ownership. It may seem kind of odd, but you do need to give some consideration to your exit strategy, even on the front end when you're setting up your business originally.
Now, do you work with the employer, with the potential business owner and his lawyer?
Yeah, Deb, we like to take a team approach. With being accountants and CPAs, we're very strong in the tax and accounting aspect, but we also need to bring in the legal professionals from the legal structure standpoint, the liability issues and what have you, that are kind of beyond the realm of what we as CPAs bring to the table.
So, there's 4 basic types, as I understand it, from the information you gave me earlier. There's sole proprietor, partnership, corporations, and limited liability companies. What are the advantages or disadvantages of sole proprietorship to start with?
The main advantage of a sole proprietorship is the simplicity. It works really well for one individual who's operating a relatively small business without a high degree of liability. Real straightforward. You pretty much just have to open up a bank account, hang your shingle, and off you go.
And what about the partnership? Say I want to go into partnership with someone who has web design and I'm a good writer and we want to partner up.
And there's 2 different types of partnership. There's general partnerships and limited partnerships. And the general partnerships are very similar to the sole proprietor. A limited partnership kind of starts to move into the realm of the corporate area, where you are able to create some limited liability protection. And one thing to be concerned about with a partnership, if you do go into a partnership and it's a general partnership, you're not only liable for your own actions, but also those of your partner. So it's always good to have the legal structure in place that, down the road, should things go south or, you start to deviate and go in different directions, both parties are protected, and you understand what those protections are on the front end.
What about corporations? All of a sudden I have employees everywhere and I want to get investors.
Corporations do, provide more liability protection, and again, that's really for the attorneys to determine. The advantage is mainly bringing in more investors and having flexibility in how those investors are compensated for their investments, whether they either are or are not involved in the day-to-day operations.
And what about limited liability partnerships or corporations? How does that work?
Well, limited liability company is actually a very flexible entity. They've become very popular over the last 20 years, and they're really referred to as a hybrid entity, where they can be taxed any way you choose to have them taxed. If you have a limited liability company where there's only one owner or member, as they're referred to, and you take no further action, they're treated the same way as a sole proprietor, but you do get, as the name implies, some limited liability protection.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to know more about organizing your business, visit Tafoya, Barrett & Associates website at tafoyabarrett.com. Thanks again.
Thank you, Deb.